It's showtime. Hey Zion, we're going to start in Job 1. Job has 42 chapters. There is no way I can get through this court battle, the plaintiff and defendant. But I will try and get Job 1, 2, and 3 in. Verse 1, there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And this man was blameless and upright, fearing God and shunning evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large number of servants. Job was the greatest man of all the people of the East. To put this in perspective, Job had the wealth of a king and the land of a king, like the amount of land. So he had lots of territory, lots of land. Job's sons would take turns holding feasts in their homes, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when the days of feasting were over, Job would send for his children to purify them, rising early in the morning to offer burnt offerings for all of them. For Job thought, perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. So the curse they're using here is Barak. This is a euphemism, not an implication. Okay, based on the context, he thinks that they have trespassed against the king or the God. Job's regular practice. Satan's first attack, verse 6. One day the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Hasatan also came with them. So the sons of God, you guys probably think this is referring to the angels. It's not. It's referring to humanity. The word here is Bane. So you see here, Ammonites, Levites, Anointed One, Assyrians, Babylonians, Egyptians, Grecians, firstborns, daughters, nephews, sons. Children are like arrows in a quiver. So you see the word arrow. So this is not speaking of the angelic, okay, accuser, the adversary, is referring to the spirit that came with them. Where have you come from, said the Lord to Hasatan? From roaming through the land, he replied, walking back and forth in it. Then the Lord said to Hasatan, have you considered my servant Job? Because we know Hasatan is not omnipresent. Okay. We know based on the context that this earth means dirt, soil, or land. Have you considered my servant Job? For there is no one on earth or in the land like him, a man who is blameless and upright, who fears God and shuns evil. Hasatan answered the Lord, does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not placed a hedge on every side around him and his household and all that he owns? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. Okay. But stretch out your hand, like all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. So it's using Barak, but this is going to be, it's going to switch from euphemism to implications. Context implies euphemism. Very well, said the Lord to Hasatan. Everything he has is in your hands, but you must not lay a hand on the man himself. This is war lingo. That moat or that hedge or the armies protecting it is going to be removed. These sons of God is going to lay siege on Job. And you will see the war unfolding on Job. It's not Hasatan. He's going to use the sons of God, which we saw like just everybody. Then Satan went out from the Lord. Job loses his children and possessions. Here's the siege on the land. One day, while Job's sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, a messenger came and reported to Job. While the oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, the Sabians swooped down and took them away. They put the servants to the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Sabians were the Ethiopians. So now Ethiopians gaining ground, they're moving in. They done took over a piece of the territory. Killed the servants, took the possessions, laid waste to the land. Verse 16. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and reported, the fire of God fell from heaven. It burned and consumed the sheep and the servants, and I alone have escaped to tell you. They had these siege machines that would hurl tar balls, but they would light the balls before they hurl them at the target. So siege machines came down and just laid waste, just burned up everything. So we got the Sabians that came in, the siege machines are coming in. Verse 17. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and reported the Chaldeans formed 3 bands, raided the camels, and took them away. They put the servants to the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. The Chaldeans came in now. Okay, some might say they have a connection with the Assyrians. How much, I don't know. So we're just going to say the Chaldeans, the Ethiopians, the Sabians, siege machines. Job got hit with a surprise attack. Now we know what happened. Sons of God, the Ethiopians, the Sabians, the Chaldeans came in because the word used for sons of God was bane. Verse 18. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and reported, your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on the young people, and they are dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Then Job stood up, tore his robe, and shaved his head. He fell to the ground and worshipped, saying, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will return. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job did not trespass or charge God with wrongdoing. Job 2. Job loses his health. On another day, the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Hasatan also came with them to present himself before him. So here they go again. Verse 2. Where have you come from, said the Lord to Hasatan. From roaming through the land, he replied, and walking back and forth in it. Okay, not the entire earth, the land. Okay, dirt, soil. Satan is not an omnipresent theos. I don't understand why people think he's like everywhere at once, messing with everybody. Okay, he literally has to walk. Okay, he's a vagabond. Verse 3. The Lord said to Hasatan, have you considered my servant Job? For there is no one on earth like him, a man who is blameless and upright, who fears God and shuns evil. He still retains his integrity or his innocence, even though you incited me against him to ruin him without cause. The problem I have with this conversation, and I have every right to have a problem with this conversation, is one, Satan is not bringing Job up. So let's talk about what regional lords are. A regional lord is a historical ruler or noble who holds autonomous political, military, and economic control over a specific geographic area or province rather than an entire country. They usually owe nominal allegiance to a central monarch, but operate as the supreme authority within their own territory. So, some of the characteristics is territorial control, military power, tax collection, and legal authority. So, when you read these stories like Job, you have to realize that in no place or time God is actually talking face to face with people. This is not an action or a scene happening in the heavenlies. Hasatan is an adversary in a court battle. He is a human. He just comes in the spirit of a accuser. The sons of God, as we saw, were Bane, which meant in this story Assyrians, Chaldeans, or Ethiopians, and Sabians, not angelic hosts. When you remove the mythological portion of what we've been told, that this is a celestial story with angelic origins, you realize the truth, and that is this is a Baal, meaning a regional lord talking to an accuser and using the sons of God, which in the context and lexicon means bane, just men. You then can move on and start realizing some of the actual moral of the stories and the point they're trying to get across, because you've erased the mythological portion of what you have been told and how you have been told to interpret this story. So once again, at no point in time is this actually God on earth ruling as a king, speaking with man. This is a regional lord. Back to the story. Yahweh just said Satan incited him. So I definitely have a problem with this story and conversation. 4. Skin for skin, Satan replied. A man will give up all he owns in exchange for his life. But stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to your face. Okay? Very well, said the Lord to Satan. He is in your hands, but you must spare his life. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and infected Job with terrible boils from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. And Job took a piece of broken pottery to scrape himself as he sat among the ashes. I had chinchillas. They would bathe in volcanic ashes because it was a soother and it was actually a purifier. Okay. Here comes Job's wife, who we believe might be Uzit. You might consider his first wife to be Uzet from the land of Uz, where they were. And that she had her own battle with Hasatan, accusers and opposition. So here she comes in with her sarcasm. Then Job's wife said to him, do you still retain your innocence? Curse God and die. So here, this is an implication. We can click on this, be or bless. Okay, they tell you right here. Then Job's wife said to him, do you still retain your innocence? Bless God and die. So if you're not familiar with this, is the Bible is a Jewish book, okay? It's not a Christian book. It's not an American traditional culture book. If you understand Jewish tradition, then you will understand the Shema. The Shema is what they used to do or still do. It's a prayer that they do twice a day. So would do the Shema in the morning and at night. And they would also do the Shema before death. So it is a prayer that they do to die faithful and not despairing. So many Jewish martyrs have died with the Shema on their lips. They rather sanctify God's name than renounce their faith. So if you know about this and you have this in the background of your head, it doesn't fit the Christian narrative. It fits the Jewish culture of the Shema. Bless God and die. Okay? You can also take the interpretation as kneel before God and die. Job over there looking pretty pathetic. He's scraping sores and pussy boils off. His whole kingdom is at war. They've just laid waste to his land. The Ethiopians, the Sabians, the Chaldeans, the siege machines. They just came in and just wreaked havoc and killed and took and pillaged everything. And on top of that, he's over there looking pathetic. And his wife, she got her little glasses on and she looking over her glasses like, just kneel before God. Just do the Shema and die. Like, this is pathetic. I'm suffering, you're suffering. And he goes, you foolish, you speak as a foolish woman speaks, he told her. Should we accept from God only good and not adversity? Lady, you are crazy. In all this, Job did not trespass in what he said. Job 3 friends. Okay, now here come Bildad, Eliphaz, and Zophar. So y'all think they're coming to just comfort him and be besties? This is the spirit of Hasatan. They're coming in the flesh, and they're going to put him on trial. And read all up to the 42nd chapter of Job. You will see they lose their court battle. Bildad, Eliphaz, and Zophar loses the court battle. Job wins. Regional Lord is acting as legal authority to enforce the law and act as a chief judge in that domain. Let's call it the reconcile. Reconcile is an accounting word. It means to make right or put things in right standing. So when you see the word reconciliation or reconcile, it is an accounting word. Job wins. The Lord reconciles all Job's possession, puts everything right and back. And Bildad, Eliphaz, and Zophar loses. It didn't say Satan, okay? The people here you're going to read is these three besties. So anyway, now when Job's three friends, Eliphaz, Timni, Bildad, the Shuhite, and Zophar, the Naamathite, heard about all this adversity that had come upon him, each of them came from his home, because they was walking the land, and they met first. The sons of God met first. And to go sympathize, they met together to go and sympathize with Job and comfort him. When they lifted up their eyes from afar, they could barely recognize Job. They began to weep aloud, and each man tore his robe and threw dust in the air over his head. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights, but no one spoke a word to him because they saw how intense his suffering was. Job laments his birth. The bless God and die. Now you're going to hear it. Job laments his birth. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. So this curse word, call out. This is the euphemism. Job's wife was the implication. She said, are you still maintaining your innocence and contempt? Despise. So Job is despising his birth. See the context of curse
in another light